Okay, so today we are going to understand the concept of debentures first. Now, this chapter in your board exam is 1 plus 1 plus 3 plus 3, which is equal to 8 marks. So, from this chapter of not expected 3 marks sums. We cannot say exactly very short sums, but relatively smaller sums will come. 1 mark 1 mark MCQ and 1 mark answer in one sentence is expected. Now, this paper style is as per the regular board exam. Now, in this coming board exam, which you are going to appear, there is no such clarity right now that from this chapter how the questions are going to come. So, we take this as benchmark and we focus right now on this. Now, when I say sums will come, so here you will have to write journal entries. Now, debenture chapter is very similar to share capital chapter, but there is a big difference between shares and debentures. So, first, let's understand who are shareholders. Shareholders are basically owners of the company. Now, whenever a company is formed, people apply for shares in this company and become shareholders. But company may be in need of further funds. So, what does a company do? Company has various options. One of the option is to again go for a public issue and take money from the public, but that is a very lengthy process, again a very expensive one, and again by making more owners you are diluting the ओनरशिप ऑफ द कंपनी यानी अगर 10 ओनर है और 10 तुम ले रहे हो तो तुम देख सकते हो कि हर एक शेयर होल्डर का शेयर कम हो जाता है तो डाइल्यूशन कंपनी नहीं करना चाहता फास्टर मनी चाहिए कंपनी को ये पैसा फॉर अ शॉर्टर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम चाहिए शॉर्टर यानी मे बी 4 years 5 years 7 years 10 years they don't want this permanently in this company तो कंपनी goes for this financial security known as debentures. Now, ये जो debentures है, debenture is basically company taking money from people, keeping it with them for a particular period of time, and then once that tenure is over, company will pay back that money. Now, what will the debenture holder or a person applying for debenture gain? That person who are buying debentures from the company will gain interest every year on debentures. So यहाँ पे अगर कोई डिबेंचर खरीदता है तो it is just like fixed deposit कि you put money in the bank every year you get interest you put money in the debenture it means you are giving this money to company and company will pay you a fixed percentage of interest. Now, as you know, this is a money which the company is taking from people, and after a specific period of time, company has to return this money back. Okay, the debenture holders are basically lenders to the company, or you can say creditors to the company. And they are basically liability to the company. Those money, that amount what has come is a liability which company has to pay back along with interest every year. So these are the basic macro differences between shares and debentures. Shareholders are owners, debenture holders are lenders. Now, debentures जो भी company issue करेगा that will be for a particular period of time. It cannot be infinite period कि पैसा दे तो हम जब तक कंपनी रहेगा तुम्हें इंटरेस्ट मिलता रहेगा. It is not possible. Irredeemable debentures are not there. So debentures are always redeemable. यानी company takes money, uses the money, pays the interest, and after a particular period of time will give the money back to the debenture holders. It's a liability which will cease over a period of time. Understood this concept? What is debenture and what is shares? Now, whenever the money comes for share, we transfer it to capital. Whenever money comes from debenture holder, we consider it as our long term liability, because ये पैसा हमारा नहीं हो गया, कंपनी का नहीं हो गया, ये पैसा डिबेंचर होल्डर का है जो हमें वापस करना है. So this is the basic difference. Now we are starting with the first part of this chapter, where we are going to understand the entries for collecting money from debenture holders and issuing debentures. Now, debentures are also financial instruments or security. So debentures also have a face value. Okay, generally face value of debenture is 100. Whenever debentures are issued by the company, percentage of interest which will be on these debenture will be communicated to the debenture holders. Now, a very practical question comes to my mind, that, sir, why should I put my money in the company and take interest when the same thing I can do by putting my money in the bank, which is more secured? आएगा कि नहीं ये क्वेश्चन माइंड में? तो now see, debentures में क्या होता है, generally the interest rate, I'm just giving you this information for your knowledge, that interest rate on debentures will generally be 1%, 2%, 3% higher than the bank deposit rates. Obviously, when interest is higher, safety will be lesser. But then there are companies whose debentures are rated by rating agencies, and they come out with this rating that if you buy debentures of Bajaj Finance Limited, debentures of HDFC Limited, debentures of Maruti India Limited, debentures of Reliance, so this money is secured. We give that safety rating. So people would like to put their money into the company. Understood this? So there are various options available in the market for a debenture holder or for a person like me to put my money. I can buy the shares, but it has its own advantage, disadvantage. I can buy debentures, or I can put my money into fixed deposit. Okay, company can go for various fundraising option. One of the fundraising option is issue of shares. Okay, where the person who is buying the share becomes the owner. But owner हमें इतने सारे ओनर नहीं चाहिए, हमें ये पूरा प्रोसेस से फिर से गुजरना नहीं है. तो we go for a faster way of raising funds, that is from general public in the form of debentures or in the form of bonds. So either you call it debenture or you call it bonds. They are very similar characteristics instruments. Got it? So this is what the crux of this chapter is, कि debenture और shares में क्या difference है, और debenture एक कैसे टाइप का इंस्ट्रूमेंट है. तो वो एक बेसिकली कंपनी के लिए लायबिलिटी है जो कुछ समय बाद पे कर देना है, और हर साल हमें उसके ऊपर इंटरेस्ट पे करना है. ये सबको कंसेप्ट पता चल गया? Okay, now when it comes to journal entries for issuing debentures, they are very much similar like issue of shares. Those of you who has done illustration 1 and 2 would have known that instead of share application, it becomes debenture application. Instead of share capital, it becomes percentage debentures. So ज्यादा फर्क नहीं है, but difference कहाँ आ रहा है? Why I am taking up one sum today is कि debentures which are generally of face value rupees 100, they can be issued at par, यानी 100 रुपए का डिबेंचर और 100 रुपए में बेचा. दे कैन बी इश्यूड एट प्रीमियम, यानी 100 रुपीस का डिबेंचर आई एम सेलिंग एट 110, और दे कैन बी इश्यूड एट डिस्काउंट. ये भी पॉसिबिलिटी है. एट डिस्काउंट मीन्स 100 रुपीस का डिबेंचर है, तुम्हें कंपनी को सिर्फ 90 रुपीस देना है, और कंपनी जब तुम्हें पैसा वापस करेगा तो कंपनी विल पे बैक रुपीज 100. इज दिस क्लियर? ऑल ऑफ यू अंडरस्टूड दिस? तो यहां पे तुम्हें दो चीज समझना है कि एक कंपनी को पैसा मिल रहा है और दूसरा कंपनी डिबेंचर होल्डर को पैसा वापस कर रहा है. तो वो सब आगे के स्टडीज में आएगा, सेकेंड पार्ट ऑफ दिस चैप्टर में. अभी के लिए वी आर टॉकिंग ऑफ ओनली इश्यू ऑफ डिबेंचर्स which can be at par, यानी 100 रुपए का डिबेंचर 100 में बेचा कंपनी ने एट अ प्रीमियम, 100 का डिबेंचर 110 में बेचा, जस्ट लाइक शेयर्स. बट ओवर हियर शेयर्स cannot be issued at a discount now as per the Companies Act, but debentures can be issued at a discount. तो 100 रुपए का डिबेंचर 90 में बेचा. Is this clear? But फेस वैल्यू जो है, फेस वैल्यू का इंपॉर्टेंस क्या है? जो भी इंटरेस्ट हम कैलकुलेट करेंगे that will be always on the face value. Is this clear? Interest will always be on the face value. Got it all of you? तो चलो थोड़ा scribble कर लो and then let's start with illustration number 3. Okay, now come to illustration 3 on page number 73. Rajkot Oil Limited issued 8,000 10% debenture. Now, what is this 10%? 10% is the interest, okay, which every year the company will pay to the buyer of this debenture or debenture holder of rupees 100 each at a price of rupees 90 per debenture. So face value is 100 and there is a discount of rupees 10 because 100 is the face value issued at a price of rupees 90. So rupees 10 is the discount. The amount per debenture was payable as under 30 with application, 40 on allotment after discount. It means 50 rupees minus 10, which is equal to 40. ऐसा लिख लो please. And then 20 on call. So total हो जाएगा 100, 30 on application, 50 is basically the face value component and 10 is the discount component. So 40 is the amount what is payable and 20 on calls. Now the company received application for 8,000 debentures. The company received the full money called on allotment except on 300 debentures. The company received full amount due on call. Pass necessary journal entries in the books of the company. So first, let's do the working. Okay, now over here, it is only call. So I'll remove this and I'll just make it on call. Okay, on application, 30 rupees. On allotment, 50 is the face value component and you have discount of rupees 10. And then on call is 20 rupees. So 100 is the face value, discount is rupees 10 and net is 90. Now application 8,000 debentures, issued 8,000 debentures, so no refund. Calls in areas. Now, calls in areas is except on 300 debentures, company received full amount due on call. So, over here, 300 for 300 debentures, we did not receive the call money. Okay, so let's start the sum. Now, write the heading Rajkot Oil Limited. Now again dates are not given, so serial number in the column for date. Now normal concept and the entries just like what we did in shares. So first what comes to our books is basically the application amount. So we are receiving 30 per debenture. So first entry is bank account debit in the bracket 8,000 debentures into rupees 30 per debenture, 2,40,000 to debenture, let's write 10%, 10% debenture application account, 2,40,000. Narrations you have to write on your own later. Second, now we got the money, so we transfer it to our debenture account. So 10% debenture application account debit 2,40,000, no refund, nothing. Directly we transfer it to our liability account, 10% debenture account, 2,40,000. So debenture application is a temporary account. Okay, so at the first stage we credit it and then we debit it. And 10% debenture account is our liability account, which will be there in our balance sheet. Let me highlight it. Okay. Now third one, we call the allotment money. So 10% debenture allotment account. Now how much is the money what we are calling? So 50 minus 10 is 40 rupees. So 8,000 debenture into rupees 40. 3,20,000. Now, debenture discount account you can use, or you can follow the textbook and use discount on debenture account. We write in bracket 8,000 debentures into rupees 10 per debenture. So 80,000. To 10% debenture account. Now again 8,000 debenture into rupees 50, which is the face value. So I'm writing FV. So we know it is the face value. Debenture account will always be formed with the face value or credited with the face value. 4 lakh. Now this is the new concept over here in this sum, discount on debenture account. So along with debenture, you have to record discount on debenture, just like premium. Okay, कि capital के साथ ही premium आएगा. But here, because it is a discount, it is debit, it's the expense, it's the loss of the company. So we credit 10% debenture and we debit discount. Fourth, bank account. Debit, we called for 3,20,000 and we received 3,20,000, no calls in arrears. To 10% debenture allotment account. 3,20,000. Now let's make the call. Fifth, 10% debenture call account or even final call you can use. So again 8,000 debentures into rupees 20 per debenture. 1,60,000 to 10% debenture account. 1,60,000. Now sixth, bank account. Now over here we have calls in arrears. So 8,000 minus 300, which is equal to 7,700 debentures into rupees 20 per debenture. Debit. So 1,54,000. You can use over your calls in arrears, or you may choose not to use calls in arrears. That is also fine, as we did in the chapter share capital. Okay. So calls in arrears account, 300 debentures into rupees 20. Debit, because they are recoverable. We have to receive this from people. And 10% debenture call account, 1,60,000. Close it. And let's do the total. 15,20,000. Go through the sum, see if you have any doubt. Such sums can come in exam for 3 marks. Okay, this is not removed in the revised or reduced syllabus for this pandemic year. So this is there. Okay, illustration number 4. Punjab Limited issued 25,000, 11%. This 11% is the rate of interest, debentures of 100 each. The money per debenture was payable as under 30 on application, 35 on allotment, and 35 on first and final call. So your debentures are issued at par, 100 is the face value. So 35, 35, 70 and 30, 100. All debentures were applied. Joginder, the holder of 800 debentures, paid the entire amount on his holding on allotment. तो allotment के time पे जोगिंदर paid the complete amount at the time of allotment. So final call का भी पैसा उसने allotment के time पे ही दे दिया. Where Harjit Singh, the holder of 200 debenture, failed to pay the allotment and call money. So over here, we have a person who has paid in advance, and we have a person who has not paid on time, and there are calls in arrears. So it's a combined sum of calls in arrears and calls in advance. All the amount on allotment and call were duly received on remaining debentures. Pass necessary journal entries for the above transaction in the books of the company. So now let's do the working first. Go through the sum once again. Now your face value at the time of application, what we are calling is 30, allotment is 35, and first call is first and final call. Again 35. So total 100, how many debentures? 25,000 debentures application and issue. Now calls in areas is of Harjit. Okay, so here there are two things. I write calls, advance and areas. Advance को मैं कर दूंगा green और areas को मैं कर दूंगा red. So Harjit Singh is calls in areas. He did not pay the allotment money and the call amount, whereas Joginder for 800 debentures paid the entire amount on his holding on allotment. So 800 debentures, 800 debentures. So we know that this 800 debentures at the time of application, we received money for first and final call also. Or if you don't want to do this type of working, you can also do 800 debentures at the rate 70. We received rupees 70. That is also what you can do. That 35 for first and final call and 35 for allotment. Okay. Please do the working and then let's start with the sum. Let's write the heading first in the books of Punjab Limited. First, bank account debit. Now 25,000 debentures into rupees 30 per debenture. 7,50,000 to 11% debenture application account. Second, 11% debenture application account debit to 11% debenture account. 7,50,000. थर्ड, नाउ थर्ड में थोड़ा केयरफुल रहना पड़ेगा बिकॉज अलॉटमेंट के टाइम पे एडवांस भी है और एरियर्स भी है, तो दोनों है. सो लेट्स गो फर्स्ट फॉर कॉल मनी ऑन अलॉटमेंट. सो 11% डिबेंचर allotment account, 25,000 debentures into rupees 35. That is what we are calling 8,75,000 to 11% debenture account, 8,75,000. Now please be careful in the fourth entry. Fourth, bank account debit. Now bank account mein how much money we are going to receive is first for 8,000, 25,000 debentures, or if you want we can do a separate working also for this in order to avoid confusion. I'll do a working over here. Now amount received on allotment. On allotment we received how much? So I will say 25,000 debentures minus 200 debentures. So which comes to 25,000 minus 200 is 24,800 debentures into rupees 35. So 8,68,000. We keep this in the working. Okay. Now calls in advance. We received for 800 debentures rupees 35. So 800 into 35. So 28,000 is what is calls in advance. So total amount received. Total amount received is 8,96,000. Let me highlight it. Is 8,96,000. This is the total amount we received. Please do this working. Rather than doing it in the entry itself, do a separate working. ये वर्किंग के नीचे ही I will do calls in arrears, which is for how many debentures? 200 debentures. So calls in arrear is 200 debentures into 70 rupees. Sorry, into 35 rupees. So it comes to 7,000. Change the color of this. So this is calls in arrears. Now let's go to the entry bank account debit. Write working note 1. How much amount we received? 8,96,000. Then calls in arrears account debit. Now here if you want you can write in the bracket as well. 200 debentures into rupees 35. 7,000 to 11% debenture allotment account 8,75,000 and two calls in advance. Again, I'll write in bracket advance we received for 800 debentures into rupees 35 per debenture. So 28,000. Cross verify. Debit should be equal to credit. So yes, 9,03,000. Underline this. This is a very important entry over here. It's a combination of both calls in arrears and calls in advance. Now fifth, we call the final call. So 11% first and final call account 25,000 debenture into 35. 8,75,000. To 11% debenture account 8,75,000. Debenture always with the face value. Now sixth, bank account. Now over here, working is very simple because for 20, out of 25,000 debenture, we did not receive money for 200 debentures. Okay, once again, this person Harjit did not pay the first and final call on 200 debentures. You can see it over here. Now, minus we already received 800 debentures money in advance. So which is equal to 25,000 minus 800 minus 200 is 24,000 into 35. So bank account debit amount comes to 24,000 into 35. So 8,40,000. At the same time, calls in arrears account For 200 debentures, we did not receive rupees 35. 7,000. Now, this final call, ध्यान दो please ध्यान दो. This at the time of first and final call, we had already received this amount of 28,000 towards the first and final call. So now we adjust it. So calls in advance account 800 debentures into rupees 35, 28,000 to 11% debenture first and final call. This is, I think there's a mistake. It is 800 into 35. Calculation error. So 28,000. So let's cross verify. 8,75,000. Close it. And do the totals. Underline. Double underline. Total. Go through it. See if you have any doubt, you can ask. This is also a typical entry. So when you do it on your own, please be careful. Go stepwise. Okay, इसमें गोखना नहीं, समझ के करना.